Tales to astonish. Ant-Man and the Wasp battle the Porcupine.
Ant-Man is drowning, and I'm powerless to save him.
No one that lives is mighty enough to resist me. The dreaded Porcupine, a supervillain you'll never forget. Ant-Man and the Wasp defy the Porcupine. That's an Army ordnance plant below us, Jan. Some of the finest inventive brains in the country work there, constantly striving to create newer and better weapons for our defense.
You worry about the weapons, Ant-Man. I'd rather think about all the glamorous, eligible males who must be working there. I wish we had something to investigate down there.
A light bantering conversation occurs as Ant-Man and the Wasp wing their way over the Army Ordnance Center. Yet, how can they know that within those walls a threat is being spawned? A peril with which they will soon come to grips. That the most dangerous and deadly menace they have ever faced is even at that moment taking shape. But just as Ant-Man and the Wasp are unaware of what is happening below, so Alex Gentry in the lab at the Ordnance Center is unaware of their flight above him as he holds a picture in his hand and studies it. Yes, the Porcupine is nature's perfect fighting machine for attack or defense. A creature that wears its weapons and then shoots them at his enemy. So simple, so direct, so foolproof. Using a Porcupine as a model, I think my combat suit is the ultimate in weaponry. Every soldier wearing it will become a one-man regiment. I personally shall make the final test, but without loading the quill-like tubes. And I mustn't forget the gas mask, so that the wearer will not be affected by fumes from the gas tubes. Yes, each button controls a special group of tubes. Some with gas, some with stun pellets, ammonia liquid fire, detector mine tubes, and all the rest. The man who wears this suit could defeat any foe. A man could become all-powerful by wearing my marvelous Porcupine suit. And what will be my reward for turning it over to the government? Will I become rich? Powerful? No. They'll say, "Good job, Gentry. Now whip us up something else. And maybe, if you're really successful in the next year or two, we'll give you a $10 raise if the Defense Department okays it." No, not this time. This is my one big chance. I could become a king using this suit. Yes, a king of criminals. Me, Alex Gentry. No, not Alex Gentry. The Porcupine. I shall become the greatest criminal the world has ever known. Take an idea, no matter how diabolical, an opportunity, then sprinkle with ruthlessness. And we have the birth of a new menace. All my life, I've been just another unknown, unsung scientist. I'm too brilliant to remain that way. By sundown, the name of the Porcupine will be known throughout the world. Burglar-proof bank to open. Using alarm devices invented by Henry Pym, the City National Bank will open here tomorrow. And I'll be as rich as Midas. Now, to select the items for my quill tubes. I'll use this lab as my headquarters. Who would ever think of looking for a master criminal at an army ordnance center? Now, let's see. Atomic pellets, liquid fire, gas pellets, fog pellets, liquid cement. The next day, Henry and Jan meet to attend the opening of the new bank, whose anti-burglar devices were invented by Henry Pym. Jan, you look flushed, feverish. I think you're ill. You shouldn't have come.
Oh, I'll be all right, Henry. Although I hope my nose isn't getting too red.
Can't you ever think of anything but the way you look? I'm taking you right home, and...
Oh, shush, you silly worrywart. I'm all right. Stop sounding so much like a husband.
Attention, folks. I want to tell you a little about our new bank before it is officially opened. We have the largest vault in the world. It can only be opened by 2 people whose fingerprints were previously recorded. Sensitive mechanisms within the combination dial read the prints.
I thought you were going to hold my hand, but I see you only wanted to feel my pulse.
Shh, be quiet a moment. As the bank president continues his speech, a strange, bulky figure enters unnoticed in the crowd. And the steel compound on the vault cannot be affected by anything less than flame so hot that it would melt diamonds. Good thing, too, for inside that vault, $5 million are safely stored away. The burglar alarms throughout the building are a new and daringly different design. As advertised, this bank is absolutely burglar-proof and contains every possible safeguard against robbery. Now, I would like to introduce you to the man who designed our bank's protective system, the eminent scientist, Mr. Henry. Suddenly, a strange murmur runs through the crowd, a shifting and uneasy stirring.
What on earth can that be? Look, Henry, that figure. What a strange costume. You didn't tell me they were going to pull a gag like this.
I have a sneaking suspicion that this isn't a gag, Jan. Somebody better call the zoo. Sir, I don't know who you are, but this is in very poor taste. I'm sure you don't belong here. Guards, throw that creature out. But of course, I, the Porcupine, belong here. Where else does a bank robber belong but in a bank? As the guards rush forward, the Porcupine presses a stud in his belt. Tear gas to blind them temporarily. Liquid cement to clog their weapons, making them useless. And then pandemonium breaks loose.
Help! Let us out!
Not without a whiff of sleeping gas first. People jam against each other, looking for escape. But the doors open inward and the pressure of the panicky crowd keeps them closed, locking everyone in. Some kind of sleeping gas. Try to block out as much as you can with your handkerchief.
Henry, we've got to do something.
We can't do anything in this crowd. We can scarcely move.
I'm beginning to feel drowsy. The gas.
Now, a smoke screen to hide my movements. Then, a acetylene flame, as hot as any yet devised by man to burn through the vault lock. Jen, lie down flat on your face. Put your nose close to the door. The gas rises. Jan, do you hear me? Jan? With the sleeping gas fumes slowly draining his strength, Henry Pym drags the inert form of the lovely Jan over the sleeping figures on the floor. If I can reach the office, shut door, keep out fumes, I've got to make it. Just another few inches. The window. Must get air. Meanwhile, in the main hall of the bank. Ah, it was easy. Easier than I anticipated. And now, a fortune. Mine. All mine. And this is just the beginning. The Porcupine will loot the treasure troves of the world. Laden with his loot, the Porcupine presses another button on his belt, activating a group of power jets that lift him high over the city. By the time they awake, I'll be safely home. A few minutes later. Jan, wake up. Wake up.
Oh, Henry, I was having the nicest dream. I met the most romantic boy and... Wait! Now I remember. The bank. That porcupine creature. What do we do now? We do nothing. But Ant-Man and Wasp have a job to do. Can't let the Porcupine get away with this. I guaranteed that my devices would make this bank burglar-proof. And again, gas swirls. But this time it is the astonishing reducing gas. And in seconds, Henry Pym and Janet Van Dyne become Ant-Man and the Wasp. We'll just walk under the door and, too late, he's already looted the bank and disappeared. Henry, my head is spinning. I feel faint.
I'd better get you home right away. I knew you were feeling ill. Here come the police. Nothing we can do here now, anyway. Ant-Man sends out a call to his ants through his cybernetic helmet, and within seconds, Torn arrives.
It's worth being ill to have you hold me in your arms like this, Hank.
Poor kid. The fever's made you delirious.
I'm not the one who's sick. What are you made of? Stone?
Stop talking like a child. This is no time for sweet nothings, not with a porcupine at large. Later, in the guest room behind the lab. I've sent for the doctor, dear. Just take it easy, little partner. The aspirin I gave you should reduce your fever soon.
Fine thing. When this is the only way I can get you to call me dear.
Remember, stay put until your fever breaks. I've got to go and contact the ants now.
You and your old ants. I'll bet if I had 6 legs, you'd like me better.
The next morning, she's still asleep. It will do her good. I'll turn on the radio and see if there's any more news of the Porcupine. Meanwhile, as a bank in the downtown district opens and the depositors start filing in, look, it's the Porcupine! Paralyzing pellets and hypnotic wheels should keep everybody under control. The fearful eyes of everyone in the bank follow the whirling wheels and in seconds are trapped in a hypnotic trance. One thing is certain. Ant-Man and the Wasp will be on my trail before very long. So, I must prepare for them after this job. But unblinking eyes, many faceted ant eyes, watch the porcupine's every move as he leaves through an alley after his second brazen theft. Each step of the way, an army of ants watches as he divests himself of his porcupine identity to enter the ordnance building. Soon, messages are relayed to Ant-Man's electronic communications machine. Army Ordnance Center, top floor lab. It doesn't seem possible that the porcupine should come from there. But my ants are never wrong. In seconds, through the use of his reducing gas, Henry Pym becomes Ant-Man again. I'll let Jan sleep. She needs it. I'll handle this myself. Down a tiny elevator to his small but highly efficient catapult, Ant-Man goes. He presses a lever and the catapult ejects him high in the air. Later, inside the charged wire that surrounds the Army Ordnance Building. Uh-oh, the guard wouldn't have seen me, but the dog... Come on, Elf, you're seeing things. There isn't anything there. Ooh. Then, without further incident, Ant-Man crawls under the door of the top floor lab and emerges in Stygian darkness. Welcome, Ant-Man. I've been expecting you. Your tiny size won't save you this time, Ant-Man. These phosphorescent pellets are attracted to the metal of your helmet and will spotlight you no matter where you try to hide, while I remain in the dark. The porcupine chuckles as he presses another button on his belt, and tiny nets fly out, attracted by a magnetic field set up by the glowing pellets. Don't struggle, Ant-Man. It's all so futile. Can't get loose in time. Now, I merely remove the net, and then I carefully take your helmet, lasso, and belt with its tiny tubes. I'm not going to leave you any means of escape, my ant-sized foe. I've got to contact my ants fast. But before Ant-Man can summon his insect friends, his helmet is plucked from his head and... Come along, Ant-Man. You're going for a swim. By the time I get back, we'll see if you were able to remain above water long enough to survive. Treading water frantically, Ant-Man hears the porcupine's departing footsteps, and then silence. Moments pass. His arms and legs grow weary as he desperately seeks a way out of the slippery tub. Meanwhile, back at the lab, the Wasp, her fever normal again, begins to worry about Ant-Man's prolonged absence.
Only one thing could have taken him away. He's tracked down the porcupine. I'll check with the ants. They'll know where he is.
The electronic communications machine, changing the antenna impulses of the ants into human language, brings an ominous message to the Wasp.
Ant-Man entered the Army Ordnance Building, top floor laboratory, trailing the porcupine. He's been gone over long, but we cannot go to him unless he commands us to.
You must meet me at the lab. I fear Ant-Man is in danger and needs our help.
In seconds, the now frantic girl reduces her size and prepares for action.
Maybe it's my women's intuition, but I'm sure Henry's in trouble, although he wouldn't be if he hadn't treated me like an invalid and had taken me with him.
Later,
Henry, where are you? Henry!
In here! Hurry! I can't hold out much longer. Never been so glad to see anyone in my life.
Some compliment. When you're drowning, you're glad to see me.
Following the wasp's direction, the anchor ant grasps the faucet with 4 of his legs, holding on to the next ant with his other 2. Then they form a living chain of ant bodies reaching down to the water and to the exhausted Ant-Man.
Careful, careful.
Gotcha, Jan. You did it. But the porcupine will be back any minute, and we must be ready for him. Just let me catch my breath. Meanwhile, Jan, get me my belt and helmet there on the sink.
Just like a man. The minute you're safe, you start giving orders.
We've got to find some way to plug his quill tubes. Ah, I know. You remember how that liquid cement he squirted out plugged the bank guard's guns? We'll use his own weapons to defeat him. Pull, pull. Good. It's tipping.
I found some plastic bags. Will they be of any help?
Just what we need. I'll pry the stopper off this can in a second. As we fill them, we'll twist the ends closed, and you ants carry them up on top of the table. Hurry, the porcupine will be back any minute. Finally, Ant-Man and his tiny insect warriors climb to the tabletop.
If this was an adventure story, it would say the tension mounts at this point.
Quiet, Jan. I hear footsteps. And then... I see you, Ant-Man. You're cleverer than I thought. But this time, you will not escape. Neither will the Wasp, or your helpless ants. The porcupine's fingers fly to his button-studded belt. But before he can press the button that will release a lethal radiation gas, the Wasp strikes. Ow! Good work, Wasp. Now, quickly jump atop one of the sacks with me. Hurry! His dreaded weapon tubes clogged with cement, the porcupine presses his control buttons in vain. I'm still not beaten, you forget. My back quills are still workable. Oh, I forgot about those accursed ants behind me. Meanwhile, Ant-Man lassos Porcupine's arm and... But as the porcupine plunges toward the ground, he frantically pushes 2 more studs on his belt and 2 tiny jet tubes, untouched by the liquid cement, manage to break his fall. Ant-Man won the first round, but I'll make my suit more perfect, and then I'll be back.
Oh, Henry, if I hadn't gotten here in time, if anything had happened to you...
There. Take it easy, Jan. Listen, let's get back to the lab. I've got something for you. Later, as Jan eagerly waits.
What can it be?
Furs?
Jewelry? Or perhaps a ring?
Here, Jan. I got this for you. Oreomycin. I want you to go back home and take this antibiotic. I don't want you to have a relapse of the flu.
Henry Pym, I hate you.
Like I always say, you can't please a female.